Have you ever heard of a ruler who declared himself a god? Not in ancient myths, but in the 20th century? Today, we're diving into the bizarre and terrifying story of Francisco Macias Nguema, the first president of Equatorial Guinea, a man whose reign of terror was fueled by an ego that transcended the mortal realm. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a journey into the heart of absolute power and the madness it can breed. Our story begins in 1968. Equatorial Guinea, a small nation on the west coast of Africa, has just gained independence from Spain. Hopes are high. The people have elected Francisco Macias Nguema as their first president. He seems like a man of the people, promising a new era of freedom and prosperity. But behind this promising facade, a storm was brewing. Almost immediately, things started to go sideways. Macias Nguema began consolidating his power with ruthless efficiency. He didn't just sideline his political opponents, he had them executed. He created a youth militia, the Youth Marching with Macias, that terrorized the population, enforcing his will through fear and violence. He saw conspiracies everywhere, and his paranoia grew with each passing day. Within a few years, he had completely dismantled the government. In 1972, he made himself president for life, but that wasn't enough. He then bestowed upon himself a list of grandiose titles, including the Unique Miracle and the Grand Master of Education, Science, and Culture. He essentially declared that he was the beginning and the end of all knowledge and power in the nation. This is where the story takes a turn from standard authoritarianism into the realm of the truly surreal. Macias Nguema wasn't content with just being a dictator. He wanted to be a god. He ordered that his portrait be displayed in every church and that the phrase, "There is no other god than Macias Nguema," be chanted during services. Priests who refused were arrested or worse. He effectively banned Christianity, replacing it with a state-enforced cult of personality centered entirely on himself. Imagine living in a country where the ruler has not only outlawed free thought, but has also commanded you to worship him as a divine being. He closed schools, shut down hospitals, and systematically destroyed the country's intellectual class. He believed Western education and medicine were un-African and part of a colonial plot. He promoted traditional witchcraft and medicine, even claiming to be a powerful sorcerer himself. The country's economy, once promising, collapsed completely. People were starving, living in constant fear, and were intellectually and spiritually isolated from the rest of the world. During his reign, it's estimated that up to a third of Equatorial Guinea's population was either killed or fled into exile. Think about that. 1 in every 3 people. The country became a ghost nation, a personal fiefdom run by a man who genuinely believed he was a deity. He would hoard the national treasury in suitcases in his rural village hut while his people suffered. His paranoia reached such heights that he banned the word intellectual and ordered the destruction of all boats to prevent people from escaping his island paradise. The economy ground to a halt. Cocoa and coffee plantations, the backbone of the economy, were abandoned as forced labor and terror drove people from their work. The country was plunged into darkness, both literally and figuratively, as infrastructure crumbled. Macias Nguema ruled not from a grand palace in the capital, but from his isolated home village, surrounded by loyalists and a deep-seated fear of assassination. So how does a story like this end? After 11 years of this nightmarish rule, the breaking point finally came. The tyrant's paranoia turned on his own family. In 1979, after he ordered the execution of several members of his own family, his nephew, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, who was the head of the military, decided he'd had enough. He led a coup d'etat to overthrow his uncle. But even after his capture, the myth Macias Nguema had built around himself held a strange power. Local soldiers were terrified to execute him, believing he possessed magical powers and would curse them from beyond the grave. In a final, strange twist, the new government had to bring in a detachment of Moroccan soldiers to carry out the execution. The god was proven mortal after all. The story of Francisco Macias Nguema is a chilling reminder of how quickly power can corrupt and how the line between absolute authority and absolute madness can blur. It shows us the devastating human cost when one man's ego is allowed to run unchecked, creating a cult of personality that demands not just obedience, but worship. It's a dark chapter in history, but one we must remember to understand the dangers of unchecked power and the fragility of freedom. What do you think? It's hard to believe a story like this is real, isn't it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into history fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that you won't find in your average textbook. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.